Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few podcast. My name's David Tomlinson. I'm going to be your host for tonight. Welcome to everybody on YouTube and Facebook and also Twitter. Getting this good right away. I've got two good guests with me tonight, Mason and the other Davy. So I'll let Mason introduce yourself first.
Cheers, Davey. Thanks for that brilliant intro, mate. I appreciate it. Good to be on. A lot to get through tonight. I'm a little bit disappointed we ain't got a signing to talk about, though, to be honest. But, looking forward to the game at the weekend.
Well, we can always hope that people on the chat can put in some comments and we can enter from there. Because to be honest with you, there's not a lot happened this week. We were all expecting great things, but it's up until now it's not turned out. Our other is the other Davy P. How are you, Davy?
I'm good, boys. How are you? Listen, I've just saw someone. Here's a wee aside for you. I just saw someone. Dale's on from Los Angeles. He's just tuned in. The last time we played them in the league, Aberdeen in the League Cup semi-final at Hampden, and when Lewis Ferguson popped the winner, I was in it. I was in Los Angeles and watched the game there at the. I can't remember the name of the pub. It's something very Englishy. But there was the LA True Blues and we lost 1-0. It was first thing in the morning. I think we had about a 9 o'clock kickoff. It was a shite start to the day, I can assure you. But I ended up going to the LA Galaxy and Houston Dynamo game in the afternoon. And obviously, Zlatan was playing for LA Galaxy at the time. And when the two teams trotted out, we had DeMarcus Beasley leading the Houston Dynamo time, which I didn't quite expect. So we had a wee Rangers connection for the game. But I just thought I'd pop that in because I saw Dale from Los Angeles and Rangers and Aberdeen. It just connected in my head.
I think Dale's been on virtually every week since we started up. So it's great.
So hi, Dale. Hi. LA True Blues.
Great to have people from all different sides of the world tuning in. They're really great. Okay, let's get on. I don't know about you guys, but I've been sort of watching every hour, waiting for the big announcement that we've signed somebody. Up until now, I've been wasting my time. What do you think's going on, Mason?
Well, not a lot, Davey. Not a lot. I just like you, listening to Bill. At the weekend, he was very forward and he expected to get a couple of players in. We all said leaving the pod on Sunday night that I think we predicted 2 or 3 in this week, so we've completely got that wrong. But yeah, a little bit disappointed, to be honest, because I know these things don't they do take time, but I think that we need to get players in, and I think that's clear. I think, again, the names that we're seeing, it's all quiet. I do like that as well, that nothing's getting leaked. Obviously, Blackburn were linked to put a bid in for Todd Cantwell that they've come out and said that wasn't true. So I think that there is definitely something in the Cantwell one, because I think, all the noise is there. He wasn't at training there today. He hasn't been since the game Sunday. He was in Barcelona as well, start of the week. So for me, I think it says that's one that could be happening. But we might be trying to get players out the door as well, Davey, which wouldn't surprise me with our wage bill. So, but obviously that won't be as easy.
No, that's for sure. Well, the bit of news that I heard about Cantwell transfer was that about Norwich had been talking to Blackburn about a £1.5 million transfer fee. They said they had knocked it back. Davey, what do you think? Blackburn obviously came out and said it's a load of rubbish. It's not true. They wouldn't pay that amount for a player with 6 months on his contract left. Davey, what do you think? If we were going to get him in January, what do you think's a reasonable fee that we would be willing to pay?
Well, I think the starting position is always the extreme position, which is 0. We don't want to pay anything, and really, once you've actually spoken to the player, and then you kind of get a feel for it. I often feel that the transfer windows is for poker players, isn't it? It's for see who can, bluff who, and with bids coming in from here, and I've had interest from this guy. I mean, it's agents. It's in their interest to prolong the whole issue with a view that they can, bump up, we can bump up transfer fees for which they will have a percentage and salaries for their clients. So the whole thing for me always ends up kind of teetering. It's almost built into the process that it goes to the wires, because unless it's been done, prior to the transfer window, and then when the transfer window's opened, the transfers get announced, and then there's a lull, and then there's a rush at the end, is the game of musical chairs. Once the music is coming to an end, everyone's got to find a wee bolt hole. So it's for poker players' transfer windows. But certainly in terms of Todd Cantwell, I did have a look at Norwich's team sheet, for the last game and their bench, and he didn't appear. So I just got to thinking, well, maybe maybe that's because he's on his way to Glasgow, or even in Glasgow. That would be nice, but no news, Dave. So there's I'm sure these things will be getting. The poker players will be at the table and see who blinks first. Sure.
Yeah, the other news last week was Tom Davies, but from what I've been hearing, that the chance of that going through is very slim, because there was a player in the team injured, and I've even written it down. Alex Iwobi seemingly get injured at the weekend. What do you think? Do you think we should still go after him for the summer, Mason?
I think. Look, if these are the two players that Bill wants to get in, then we should do pre-contract deals first. That should be, what I would expect us to do first, like we've always sort of done under Wilson and even before then. And then we try and get him in this month. And the only thing is getting Tom Davies from Everton. As you just said there, Davey, he was out injured, but I think he played in their last game, and he has made a few appearances this season. They've said if they are to sell Davies, they expect to get a fee. And to put a little bit of context of what the fee might be, I heard today that when we signed a pre-contract with John Lundstrom, Sheffield United want £4 million for him in January, even though he was out of contract in the summer. Brentford today have put a player on the transfer list that they've bought for £2.5 million, and they want to get a lot more than that. And again, he's not got long on his deal. It's just what Premier League clubs are doing, because other Premier League clubs will pay it. But difference is we won't go in. There's no way for me that we're going to go and spend £4 or £5 million to go and get Davies and Cantwell in this month, because as I said, that for us there's no value in that. I think we'll wait and get them in the summer. But I'll be honest with you, Tom Davies is the Cantwell one. I can understand it, and I'm quite excited by it. I think he's definitely a player that's got something to prove. And as I said, nearly went for 30 million 18 months ago. There was a lot of big clubs after him. I think he does need a move. But as for Tom Davies, I've never really been impressed with Tom Davies, and I don't see him bringing what our midfield needs. But I'd love to be wrong on that one, and Bill will know better than me, of course.
Yeah, well, when I was looking up Cantwell today, I seen that he was actually played in Holland. He played for Fortuna Sittard, and I looked him up about there what the fans were saying about him, and he was actually the fans' favourite man of the match for 3 games in a row. He played 10 games there, and the funny thing is that Fortuna Sittard play in green and yellow as well, so maybe he's a wee bit sick of playing in green and yellow that he wants away from Norwich. But no, to go on, the other one that was talked about was the Korean guy. I can't remember his first name, but it's Song Chu. So I thought probably as Song Chu, but that's not. But Davey, we're supposed to be beating Celtic to get that one. What do you think of that?
Well, I did have a wee look, and there were a couple of clubs mentioned. It was Mainz and Mans. How they pronounce Dave? Mainz or Mans? The German club. Anyway, and that other lot. So we didn't even appear in what was mentioned about whatever his name is, the Korean guy. So his name sounds like, it's bloody.
Well, it's Sung. I know it's Sung Chu. I forgot his first name. I forgot, but it's Sung Chu. I believe. But as far as I know, Mainz have fell out, and the Rangers and Celtic were sort of ready to fight for him. I don't know what the truth in that, obviously. From what I read, he's really wanting a move, so he's already told the club that he's moving on. So Mason, you get any thoughts on that? Have you read anything that with?
I've seen the link, Davey. We see it quite a lot, don't we? That us and them are linked with the same player by the media, and it's just most of the time it's just agent talk. But apparently that the Celtic have put a bid in, and they've been in talks with these clubs chairman for most of the week, and we haven't put a bid in. So I think that will tell you, for me that we're not going to be going after that one. And I can only see us really getting another striker if Morelos was to go this month, unless Cholak's got a bad injury, and we know what Kamaru's right. I'd like us to go and get another one anyway, but we've all said for long enough that a centre midfielder or two centre midfielders is the priority. So that's where I expect we'll be looking to strengthen this month instead of another striker.
See, the thing is, and we have a player like that, we don't know whether he's a World Cup wonder, and after that he'll die away. It's the same with the Dutch goalkeeper. I was on about the Dutch goalkeeper, but I mean he came from nowhere as well, and we don't know. Nobody knows whether he was an actual good goalkeeper or he's just had a bit of luck. But the other thing that happened during the week, Davey, which I think maybe he'll probably bring him into the Aberdeen game as well. But Alex Lowry playing for the B team, scoring 3 goals. I think sorry. I
was actually surprised he didn't appear even on the bench. The last couple of games, and particularly Sunday. Against Dundee United, I was thinking, well, I don't know, is there something we're missing here? Is there something we're not being told about the Alex Lowry story? I mean, because the boys clearly got it in spades. So, but you can see from a hat trick for the B team. That it's obviously not. He's got to step up a level from there, but clearly the boy's got ability. So I think it's probably just a Michael Beale decision. It has to be the right time. It has to be in the right frame of mind, whatever the set of circumstances are. That Alex Lowry will get his chance, and Alex Lowry will get his chance very soon. No doubt about it. The boy's got too much talent. So if he doesn't do it for Rangers, then I would be thinking he would be looking to move elsewhere. He's got bags of confidence, bags of talent. Time to give him a wee run in the team, and we find out just how far we can go with him. So just to Michael.
Just on that, Lowry, I put a post up earlier. He's been linked with Ross County on loan today. Don't know how true that is, but if we are bringing in Cantwell or someone that can go and play in that position, especially if we can get Lawrence and Hadji back, I actually think a loan would make sense for Lowry. I agree with you, Davey, in terms of there's talent there, but I think maybe a loan and regular game time in the league would be exactly what Lowry needs, because him coming in and out, I think is no good. I think he needs a run of games, but maybe one to watch. If we do get Cantwell in, I would expect them to look at Lowry going out on loan.
Well, Beale made a really funny statement, really, when he said the players have got to accept him, and that's saying, yeah, the players are not wanting to play with him. That's a very funny statement, I find. But I think we'll move on to the Aberdeen game, and he's obviously too good for the level he's playing at. I mean, playing against those that you call them the civil servant strollers or something like that. Obviously, that's far too low a competition for him. He needs to either get up to the first team training and playing, at least on the bench, or they need to put him out for a loan. Okay, well, let's go on to the main topic for I'm going to start speaking Dutch there tonight. Aberdeen game. General thoughts on it, Mason?
Yeah, yeah. You know, as I said, our record against Aberdeen isn't in cup competition. Isn't great. I think you said it earlier, David. There was it. Aberdeen have won 4 out of 6 meetings in the League Cup. Our last win against Aberdeen in the League Cup was 2004 when Fernando Rickson scored an absolute screamer of a free kick, which seems is a really long time ago. But look, big game for Bildis because he's done really well so far. But the two cup competitions are really important for us this season because that's where we've got an even kill to go and win them. And getting hopefully we have that type of season we had when McLeish come in around Christmas time in 2001, 2002 season. Very, very similar circumstances as well with injuries and players out of form, and he come and we ended up going to win the double and then the treble the season after. So it's so important that I think we win this League Cup. It's a competition we haven't won in a long time as well. So I expect the players to be up for it, and I'm sure we're going to come on to talk about the last game we played against Aberdeen in the League Cup, the semi-final, and how it all went wrong. We've got to make sure that we get a win on Sunday and get into the final.
Is it a worthwhile competition, Mason? Do you still believe that?
Yeah, definitely. I think every competition we play in, I know if we all had the choice, it wouldn't be the main one. But I've always said I know it's different this season because we're 9 points behind, and it makes it a little bit different. But getting that first cup, we've seen it with the other side. Obviously, that they've done it recently. Is getting that first cup is massive for the rest of the season. And look, we're all about winning trophies, and this is a trophy that's not been at Ibrox for far too long.
Davey, one of our ex-players is making his 100th appearance on Sunday for Aberdeen. Robbie McCrory. Ross McCrory, sorry. What do you think of that? Do you think he had a career at Rangers, or was he the lower level?
I think he's found his level because he just looks, Aberdeen level. So we had great expectations, much as we do with Lowry. So that there's, these things, there's nothing certain about it. So, but Ross McCrory looked a player with Rangers. He had some first team games, kind of fell out of things. I think perhaps at that time, being on the fringes of the team, he would maybe wanted more first team football, which maybe motivated him to seek a move. But and I think he was pushing in an open door. It was just decided at that time within the club that, for you to, if you're looking to play every week, then it's going to be with somewhere else. And off he went. So since going to Aberdeen, I'm actually surprised it's been he's actually played 100 games. So, which kind of probably a testament to the boy's fitness and his durability, because it doesn't seem to have been that long that he's been at Aberdeen. So, but clearly they like him. And a couple of occasions, when we've come up against him, he looks okay, but there's not a standout by any means. So, probably on reflection, it would be a correct decision by the club, that Ross McCrory looked to find first team football elsewhere. So, but I think that the one that we could have maybe hung on to was Greg Docherty that went to Hull, because he seems to do quite well down there, and both good Rangers men as well. So, but Ross McCrory, no, I think we should have taken we could have swapped him for Lewis Ferguson. There I'm going down that road again.
Yeah, that's the big one. He seems to be doing really well in Italy. Not good enough for us, Dave, in the SPL, but good enough for teams in Italy.
Yeah, just to hark back to the transfer window, I'm surprised there hasn't been any move, out the way, because I thought that Michael, maybe it's dependent on those going out that are depending on how many come in, but obviously Alfredo and Glenn Kamara are now in a position to do deals, and their agents will be, no doubt. I know there's been kind of rumours about, but I thought there might, if there had been a pre-contract deal done, then there's nothing to be gained by delaying the announcement. Maybe in terms of a a transfer fee and negotiating that. But I'm surprised we haven't heard anything. So I'm wondering if the lack of ins is linked to the lack of outs. So I don't know. I'm speculating here.
Well, I mean, Beale came out with another pretty funny statement during the week, at the end of last week, I can't remember, when he said Matondo had a massive fall in confidence. So it's funny that he says that. I don't know what way that put. Is it possible Matondo could go out and loan Mason, do you think?
Possibly, Davey. I wouldn't be against it either. To be fair to Matondo, he had a really good season in Belgium last year. And I think when we played the game in the qualifiers, I can't remember the team name, they beat us 2-0 out there. Their manager was absolutely raving about him and said how well he played last season. And then you remember pre-season. But in pre-season games, the pressure's off, and I thought he had a really good game against West Ham, and I think that's where we all thought we've got a good one to watch here. But again, this comes with part of the background and how he is, and this is what Bill's talking about: is can they handle playing at Rangers? I think Matondo has definitely gone into his shell. The supporters got on his back, which doesn't help. But that's just what happens at Rangers, and I think Bill will definitely be looking at that, and that's where the Cantwell signing is quite. It'll be interesting to see how he handles that, because he's someone that hasn't done that well in the last sort of year, 18 months. But if we can get Matondo out on loan, I think it'd be a no-brainer for me. And Scott Wright on a permanent as well. I think that he's another one that's in the background there. That if we can get anything for Scott Wright to move him on and free up a wage, them two for me are two that definitely I'd be looking at getting rid of this window.
Well, funny enough, the last time Aberdeen beat us in the League Cup was 2019, and I believe Scott Wright was in the team. And I think somebody already said that Ferguson scored the winner from a header. Well, Scott Wright was in the team that day, so you get one up Rangers that day. So hopefully doesn't get into the team and give Aberdeen another help during in Sunday. Yeah, Davey, what do you think the sort of a starting lineup will be at the weekend? Do you think we'll go for the same team that's been sort of going the last few weeks?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a million miles away from the team we saw on Sunday. Obviously minus big gorgeous Antonio, because Alfredo will be slotting back in there, I suspect. So maybe Kemar Roof. Maybe there's a wee surprise up his sleeve and put Kemar on. He might. I would think he would be waiting in the second half to put Kemar Roof on. But it would have been really good if we'd have been able to get Morelos and Cholak on the same pitch. Because I think Beale has mentioned that he would not be against that. So maybe he could play Morelos and Roof. So, but at whose expense? We will see Kemar Roof at some point on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. But the starting lineup, I would guess, not going to be a million miles away from what we saw at Tannadice. So, thank goodness the defence seems to have kind of settled a bit in terms of team selection. Goalkeeper, I think he would probably stay with McLaughlin, and that's just a guess on my part. But I think when you hear Michael Beale speak about the goalkeeping position, and he said that it's not a priority for him, but I think it may be more of a priority than he is giving it, because I think if we're undecided and we're just going to flick between McGregor and McLaughlin, it's almost like a vote of confidence in neither of them. So that which tells you that we probably need. Rangers have always had decent keepers. You go back to the 80s. Bloody Chris Woods, and we've always had a top-notch goalkeeper. And I think in Alan McGregor, we had a top-notch goalkeeper. We probably still is a top-notch goalkeeper, but I think we're just going to the well too often. But I think we need to address these positions. But clearly, if Michael Beale thinks that there are other priorities, then he'll go there first. But so the team for Sunday, I mean, I think Aberdeen, the game up at there recently against them, and we managed to, pinch it at the end, was something a bit bizarre, because this Aberdeen for me are eminently pumpable. I don't know, is that a word? But we should be. I'm hoping that the second half performance in Sunday will be carried on to Hampden this Sunday, because we are absolutely in control, going at them wave after wave, dominant all the way to the end. We don't do that last 10 minutes biting your fingernails thing. So I can't expect to see. It would be interesting to see if Adam Devine would make an appearance, but I don't think it's going to be. There's not going to be many surprises. Be Lundstrom, Ryan Jack, Malik Tillman, Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos. The back will be Borna and Ben Davies, Connor Goldson, and James Tavernier. The goalkeeper, I'm not so sure about, but if you were to press me, I would say that it will be McLaughlin.
Yeah.
You agree with that one, Mason?
Yeah, I think that's the team, and obviously Sakala out on the right. 5 goal contributions in 5 games for Fashion, so he's having a good spell, and I think he'll play as well. But yeah, that's the team, and I agree with David P about the goalkeeper there as well. I think McLaughlin coming in surprised quite a lot of us for Sunday, and McLaughlin obviously is the cup goalkeeper as well, so I don't expect that to change. I think that Bill played it quite well, saying it was down to Dundee United and set pieces, but I think it was a little bit more to it. Everything that was going at our goal with McGregor in the end was ending up in the net. That was, as I said, with the amount of goals we conceded against Aberdeen, Hibs and Celtic, all 6 shots end up in the net. So I think there was a change that maybe Bill, there was more to it, but by putting McLaughlin back in.
I think the way we've been playing the last few weeks, I don't know whether you can talk about somebody being stuck out in the right. I think we've been pretty fluid. That you when you set a team up, you don't really know where they're going to be playing, because it changes within a couple of minutes. They might stand there at the beginning of the game, but I think that's one of the things that Beale has brought in. That the players are not tied down to use the likes of Kent was under the last regime. He was you stick out in the left, and he was if you move a metre from the touchline, that's not allowed, and no tricks. Tricks are for the circus, I think was said. So I think we've been pretty fluid in the way we play. No, I think we're right. I think the big discussion is probably the goalkeeper. And let's hope Lowry gets up onto the bench. I think if he doesn't get onto the bench at the weekend, then I think we can sort of say that he's not really in the manager's thoughts, and that there will be a good chance he'll be going out on loan. But no, the last game we played, they thought they had won with about, what was it, 2 minutes from time, or even in extra time. 2 minutes, it was extra in extra time when Arfield came on. But what about Arfield? Arfield is starting place. Any chance of that?
No.
No. Funny how he does his best from the bench. So usually when he comes on as a starter, he's not get the same impact on the game. But, thanks for that quick answer, Dave. That puts the ball right in that court right away. I'll give the question to Dave. That'll be about me for about 5 minutes.
No, just on Arfield though. I was really surprised he didn't come on against Celtic a couple of weeks ago. That's where Arfield's brilliant. His experience coming in for the last 20 minutes, half an hour. I think that's all Scott Arfield should be at Rangers now. I think that without sounding horrible towards Arfield, he's been a really good servant for us, but I don't see him as he shouldn't be. We should be bringing players that are younger and fitter, that can go and start games and last the 90. But Arfield's experience and the knack of being in the right place, as you said, with the 2 goals against Aberdeen the last time, he's definitely a player that we can use off the bench. But don't see him getting in that starting 11 anytime soon, to be honest.
No. Well, a couple of things happened up in Aberdeen recently. Graham Shinnie coming back. Davey, what's your memories of Graham Shinnie? Will he add anything to the Aberdeen team? What about Graham Shinnie in Aberdeen?
Well, Graham Shinnie, obviously, he's one of our tribe. But he's a good experienced professional, a decent player. And, there were rumours that he was Ibrox bound at one time, but it never actually happened. So he's gone down south. Is it Wigan he was with?
Wigan, yeah.
And he's now gone back on loan to Aberdeen, probably for first team football. But no, Graham Shinnie, good, decent player. Brings lots of experience. I think he'll be a decent player for Aberdeen. So I think he would have been a decent player for us in his day. So, and I know that I think he would have walked to Ibrox to sign the contract, but it's never quite happened. But so he ended up down south, and now he's back up there. So probably first team football, but certainly a decent player, Graham Shinnie. No, I wouldn't have minded taking him at one stage, but them days are gone. No, I can't. I think going through the Aberdeen squad, a lot of young boys in there, and you can see from the last game at Pittodrie that they had a go at his early second half and got some joy. Obviously, the goal at the end of the first half kind of gave them a lift. But Aberdeen are nothing spectacular. I think most of our problems that night were caused by us. And at 95, 97 minutes, and as Mason just said, that Scott Arfield, that's when I think Scott Arfield is probably at his best, is when, we're drawing and in that game we were losing. When you're looking to get someone from midfield into the box, Scott Arfield's your man. Michael Beale elected not to go with Scott Arfield in the Old Firm game. We're 2-1 up. So he's probably thinking more about holding out in the 2-1 than getting Scott Arfield into the box to recover something. So that may have been the thought processes. Who knows? But certainly in terms of Shinnie, yeah. But I don't think they have a massive squad, Aberdeen. So I think we can pretty much take it that the team that we faced at Pittodrie will be pretty much a mirror image plus Shinnie of what we can expect on Sunday. So probably no excuses for us. They don't have any surprises up their sleeve. We know what we're walking into, and I think we need to learn some lessons from the game at Pittodrie in terms of lack of competing in the start of the second half when that was just energy, youthful enthusiasm that was bullying us off the ball, and get more energy, intensity into it, and match their level of commitment, and we will be okay. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, so certainly looking forward to it. I think the other danger, Mason, that we had the last game was Luis Lopez, alias Duke. What do you think? Do we need to take special measures? What do you think? Do you think future Rangers player?
I've been quite impressed with him, Davey. To be honest, I wouldn't go as far as saying future Rangers player just yet. But if you're saying that, I think they paid 400 grand for him, Aberdeen, which obviously for them is quite a big fee. But we paid nearly 3 million for Matondo. I think they've definitely gone and got the better winger. But he looked dangerous in the game at Pittodrie. He sort of died out the game towards the end, which happens when we play against other teams in our league. They do die. But I think he's definitely one to watch, and he is their danger man. If I was to pick anyone out that Aberdeen, starting 11, he would be the one to look at. And I thought he'd give Tavernier, a lot of problems to the game there. But a lot of the support have been pretty impressed with him. So maybe he's another Aluko. The last winger we got from except from Scott Wright, put it that way. But he definitely one to watch on Sunday.
Yeah, well, I think we've got to watch if he gets to take a free kick outside the box. I think that's the one thing when you're playing against Aberdeen as well. Teams like Aberdeen, I mean, I think all the teams are the same, Motherwell and all the teams. You've got to watch fouling them just outside the box, because that's what they live off against teams like Rangers, Celtic. They get a chance to get a free kick just outside the box, or get the ball high into the area. I mean that's what they're going for. Although I must admit that guy Duke, he doesn't. He's a good all round player. It's not just high balls he goes for. He's really a good player. And although he looks quite heavy as well, a wee bit like Morelos, really. He done some amount of running in the last game against us. The other person that I thought was good was their goalkeeper. I thought their goalkeeper had a great game up until his blunder with the Arfield goal. I thought he was really good because he made a good few saves before that. The one I wanted to give you, Davey, was that the Aberdeen captain came out and said during the week, Anthony Stewart, I think he's called, Colak is a better player than Morelos. Give us it, Dave. What do you think about that one?
I don't care what they think, Dave, because what's that worth is? You know what the Aberdeen captain says? I'm just trying to think of an indifference expression that I could give you here, because so what? I think Rangers are better than Aberdeen, so there's my counter to it. Doesn't matter what they think. It's more about doing the talking on the pitch. So they're not going to find out about Colak on Sunday anyway. So, but maybe that's just they spit these stuff out. They think it's their opinion's not worth that much to me, to be honest. So I'm more interested. And Rangers, it's Michael Beale's opinion that's of our players that interests me, and our opinions, not really the Aberdeen captain. I could not give a one iota.
Strange, though, isn't it? Strange comment. I see that today. For their captain to comment on who he'd rather play up against and who he thinks the better player. I think it's just all a bit not showing much, being media savvy there. But hopefully, if anything, you'd like to think that clip's shown to Morelos and we get a reaction from him and he scores. And hopefully he gets up for it, because I think, as you say, Colak with his injury, he won't be playing anyway.
That's probably what it's designed to do, Mason, is just, throw just what he would think is, I'll throw a hand grenade out there so that when Alfredo gets to the tunnel, on Sunday at 4:00, that he'll be looking out for me and, do something stupid that will cost Rangers. It's amateur dramatics, really. Yeah,
it's a strange comment.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to wind Morelos up. I don't think it'll change Beale's mind who he's going to play anyway, even if Colak was fit. Is it definite that Colak's out then? Has that been?
It's not been confirmed yet. So, but I just think the way the second half went at Tannadice on Sunday, and the way that we kind of got more out of, there was more spacing behind him with Morelos, and I've said it on here many times. I'm not his biggest fan, but he did make a big difference in terms of just moving them around, and I think that's what we'll go with again on Sunday.
Yeah, I think one thing we've got to do is now try and what we do in the second 45 minutes, try and start with that. Because that's one of the big things that our starts have been really terrible this season, and more often than not we're a goal behind before we even start playing. Really, I've really lost the place, and what I've not really a lot to cover more anyway. I think we've had Aberdeen, we've had all the signings.
Just
a lack of signings.
Lack of signings.
That's been a real killer, isn't it? The lack of signings this week. But I did get a comment from Curry about Cantwell the last time he had a game, and I don't think he's actually started a game since November. So that was something that I looked at yesterday. So as said, we want a player to come in and hit the ground running, but Todd Cantwell might again take a little bit more time with that one, which we're great at being patient with players, aren't we?
Yeah, well, hopefully, and we might even get hit with a curveball that the player comes in that nobody has ever heard of or not expecting. I know what was it? The Celtic McAvenny said that Rangers right away that Rangers won't be signing anybody this window. So maybe he'll be proven right. Although I think it would be pretty strange. And the one thing you were talking about Matondo, had a good season in Belgium, but it's really funny that he was bought for 11 million and then sold for 3 million not so long after it. So a lot is maybe said in that as well.
I think this at the end of the transfer window, though, there's going to be the jury, or at least some of it, will be returning on Ross Wilson, because Ross Wilson, clearly from the AGM, you saw that, you know, a couple of people had a pop at him. Rightly so, I would say. But at the end of this transfer window, he's going to have his report card had better be a good one, because he's running out of lives, Ross Wilson, in terms of his performance in our recruitment. So I think he will be bursting his arse at the moment to get players out and other players in. So to do deals, because if we get to the end of this transfer window and it's not looking good, then I think Ross will be under even more pressure, to the point where you can't. I think a large element of the Rangers supporters who normally, I mean, even in my time, we wouldn't know who would be the chief negotiator in terms of transfers. But now that position has become a thing. I think his name is now known amongst the Rangers support, and the accountability for the signings that we've made so far, you know, in the last 3-4 transfer windows, and the next 2 or 3 transfer windows, so important, you know, to get us back in the rails. Ross Wilson had better not, you know, make an arse of this one, because I think the vultures are circling, as they say.
Yeah, sorry, Davey, to jump in there. I agree, and all you've got to do is watch that AGM back and see the tension there was at Ross Wilson and the reaction that it got from, you know, the rest of the room. And you know what? We just had a really good question here from Curry, and he's saying that, do you think that the Bill's gone in and changed the plans? And I think that's a really good point, because I do think that Wilson would have had his own plans for January, and I do hope that Bill's come in and said, no, we're not doing any loans like we did last year, because they just didn't work. We need to start building towards the summer, which all of the support have been saying for such a long time. So that's what I'm hoping anyway. And the clippings we've heard from Bill, I think he's more or less said exactly that, to be honest.
Yeah, I really hope that, you know, Michael Beale has come in and changed the plans and you know, put his stamp on it. Michael Beale should have the final say in all of this. You know, so he's just the buttons and switches man in terms of these negotiations. So, but ultimately, the team and you know, the man who's going to be judged on the performance of the team will be Michael Beale. So why he would rely on Ross Wilson to make decisions for him would just be beyond me, because having looked at the, you know, his recent track record, you would certainly be concerned.
Well, I mean, Beale did say that nobody will be coming in the door that he hasn't given he's okay to. So I think that Beale's answered that one himself. The one that just sprung into my head as well was Helander to Malmo. We know the Swedish season starts in April, I think. So any team that takes him now, if he's fit, the talk was that he might be getting fit in February. I don't really get that, but because I think he's probably still walking about in crutches. But the talk was that Malmo were interested in taking him and getting him fit and for the start of the season. I mean, he would certainly be a great player for Malmo if he could get fit. What's your thoughts on that, Mason?
I'd love us to get rid of Helander now, Davey, to be honest. To free up, as I said, I've said it many a time about our wage bill, and I don't see Helander playing a lot of games. I don't see him playing again for us, to be honest. When Bill talks about the defence, he mentions John Suter quite a lot, Leon King. There's been no mention of Helander. And when he was asked about Helander, he said that he'll hopefully get fit and end up having a good career. He didn't say it will be at Rangers. So If we can do any kind of deal to get him off the wage bill as soon as possible, that would be ideal. I think he's always said that he wants to go back to Malmo and go back to Sweden. That's something that he's always said. So it makes sense. But Malmo are going to obviously want to do it cheap with him being out, being injured and out of contract in the summer. But that suits us. I think if we can just get him and a couple of others that are just not contributing at all off the wage bill, then it will be then it's an absolute no-brainer. And just Curry's asked another question there. We signed an 18-year-old from Chelsea for six. I think it's only a 6 months contract, but he just asked if I've heard or know anything about him. I did ask a couple of my, the boys down here that are Chelsea fans. He's a bit unknown. Apparently, a lot of talent, but had a lot of injuries, which will surprise a lot of us. We don't do medicals, do we? But no, that's the reason he's come in for 6 months. It's basically like a sort of 6 month trial, and hopefully, we can get another Bassi there. He can get his injuries behind him. He does definitely look like a unit, and they're the type of signings that I can understand why we've took the gamble to have a look at the boy.
Well, we didn't name a hospital after Ross Wilson for nothing, I suppose. But no, I think it would be better for everybody. Better for Helander if he could get away. Better for obviously Malmo. It would be a good move for them if they could get him fit. And obviously Rangers would get him off the wage bill, so that would be a big help for us. I mean, if you think the players we've got sitting up in the stand pulling a wage that aren't playing anything, it's really quite bad that so much money sitting up in the stand doing nothing. It's unfortunate. But I can't really think of anything else to bring in, guys. I think I've stretched it out long enough. I think this will be one of the shortest shows we've ever done. But there's just not an awful lot happening to be. Oh, and there was the one thing, the boy that was at Falkirk. I think it's the Colombian boy, is it? He's been. Yeah, he's been brought back to Rangers. They're bringing him back. I don't know why they're bringing him back in, because I don't think Falkirk wanted rid of him. So maybe they see a place for him somewhere in the future. So, but that's it. But unless you two have got anything else to say, I'll say Mason. I'm going to tie up because
one other thing which I think is going to impact the pressure to sign additional players will be the return, of Tom Lawrence and Hadji, because I think if we can get those guys back in the end of January, early February, that will be almost as good as a couple of new signings, because Tom Lawrence made 7 or 8 appearances prior to him, and looked a goal scoring midfield threat. And Hadji, as I think he may take a wee while to kind of settle back down, but Hadji's got the quality, as we spoke about with Lowry. He's got the kind of Hollywood ball in him. He can do. It's no pace, but it's just plenty. He's just got football coming out of his bloody fingers. So that I think that the success of the transfer window, might be made less important if we can get Tom Lawrence and Hadji back, because they would make a big contribution. But as Mason's right, the summer is going to be between this transfer window, probably more importantly the summer, for a real assault on things next season in terms of actually making an impression in the Champions League, while qualifying firstly, and having a better fist of it than we made this season, which was a fucking disaster. And obviously looking to get our title back. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing Yanis Hadji, because he's a player.
But on Hadji, David, I agree. I think it'll make a big difference. I'm not his biggest fan. I've always said that, but I think in terms of when I look at our bench, he does bring a lot. That obviously what we haven't got, but I think that we've got to be realistic with Hadji as well, and Lawrence. I know Lawrence's injury isn't as bad as Hadji's, but I think we're going to have to be, it's going to be a while before we see them two, strutting their stuff properly, because I think their injuries are for so long term. So as you said though, it's really important that Bill doesn't think, right, I'm getting them two back and everything's going to be okay, because as we've always said, the squad needs help, and I'm hoping there's a couple of players in the pipeline, if not before, after it.
The return of those two, Mason, obviously comes with an amount of risk, but so does Todd Cantwell, and so does Tom Davies.
Absolutely.
Actually, did you see the wee snippet of Tom Davies on the Everton bench doing the rocks, paper, scissors game?
Yeah.
As Everton are put a sub on, and it's showing you the bench behind, and he's on the bench for Everton, not even interested in the game. He's playing rock, paper, scissors with one of the other subs. Like, right? He looks a perfect playmate for Alfredo Morelos. That was exactly what I thought. Him and Alfredo have a ball together.
I think if and to be realistic, I think the Hadji and Lawrence, he's not been out that long, but I believe he's had a bit fullback, isn't he? And I believe, and he won't be back in the next few weeks either. Hadji's just round the corner. He's out training on the grass again and actually playing football again. But I think realistically, before they have any impact on the game, on the squad, I think it'll be next season, because it'll take them to get really up to match fitness. It'll take them about another 4 or 5 weeks once you start playing, and I just don't see them being much of a probably sitting on the bench quite a lot this season, getting an odd 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't see them really making the first team pick. Mason, what do you think for Sunday? A result?
Sunday, I think I'm hoping, David, we start the way we finished. I think it's been each game's been getting. I've seen it for longer, but I expect us to go out there Sunday and win comfortably, to be honest. And I think the signs, of new signings, I think should give everyone a little bit of a kick up the arse as well, which I'm hoping is going to happen. So I think we'll go and win. I'm going to go 3-0 Rangers.
Okay, 3-0 Rangers. That's quite a score. When we struggled against them about 2 weeks ago. Obviously, it's a different venue now. It's at Hampden. Hampden's really well. It used to be. It used to be a really large park, so it always suited Rangers to go to Hampden because of the park was so big. Davey, what do you think? Do you think it'll be the trouble and strife that we had 2 weeks ago, or will it be a bit easier due to being at Hampden? I believe Aberdeen are now taking an awful lot of supporters with them, so we should have a far bigger support in them this time anyway. Will that make a difference?
Yeah, I suspect that Rangers. I'm going to go with the same score as Mason, 3-0, and I think the game that at Pittodrie, when we scored in 95 minutes and 97 minutes, really crushed them. I think because they really thought they had got there, and they'd got the victory. And would you say they deserved it? Maybe not. Maybe a draw was. So they that was a real sore one for them. So I think with a few more weeks down the line, with Michael Beale, I think we will be just too hot for them, just too big a task. I would expect Rangers to go on the front foot from the outset, comfortable 3-0 win. Alfredo on the score sheet.
There you go, and no Colak.
I don't think. I think Colak will not feature on Sunday. I think if it will be Alfredo Morelos, and if he's looking for an alternative, then we came our Roof. I'm looking forward to seeing Roof get a run in the team, because again, it's someone who adds a talent. Really good football player, if nothing else. He's not the paciest guy, but he's very clever. And I think if we could keep Kemar Roof fit, even from this point, he'll be in double figures in goals by the end of the season. I really like Kemar Roof. I just don't like his track record in terms of injuries, which is horrific. But when he's actually on, he looks a player. So
The
I
roof
think
is on fire.
Yes, let's hope he lights the flame on Sunday.
Let's hope he ain't got injured this week. Anyway.
But I mean,
is that now got a full weekend when he's not been on that treatment table?
Hopefully.
I mean, see when the something that's just come into my head. If you look at the bench, and I seen one of the comments earlier on about the bench. If you look at our bench a couple of weeks ago, you look at the bench, and the other team must look at the bench and think, "Oh, there's nobody on there." If we can keep their first team, first pick squad at ease, then there's nobody to bring on. But once you get a few of the big names back, then the bench will start to look different, and then it'll be one player goes off, say the likes of Tillman goes off, and Hadji's sitting there. Then the other teams start thinking, God, they're taking one player off and they're bringing just as good a player on, and that's just what we've not got at the moment. We've just got. I mean, we all said the other day when Wright came on, what the hell's he doing coming on? But why is he bringing him on? And it's not a good way to be. Yeah, what did the score? I'm not going to go as confident as you guys. I'm going to go for just a 2-0 because yeah, I'm normally the one that goes overboard and has a big score, but yeah, no, I don't see it being bigger than 3-0, and I think Aberdeen will be too defensive for that. I don't see Aberdeen. They come out and had a go in the second half at Pittodrie, not so much the first half, but the second half they come out and had a go at us. But I think we'll control the game, and I think it'll be 2-0. I think they'll be sitting in defence most of the time. I don't think they'll do what they done at Ibrox when they come out gung ho and we whipped them 4-0, 4-1. Sorry, I don't think they'll do that. But
no,
anyway,
they're not going to do that. They made Rangers look like Barcelona that night. I think we came out of that game and we were saying, "Oh, we played well there." I says, "Well, I think Aberdeen were the main component of us playing well because they totally fucked that up."
Yeah,
they'll not do that again.
Well, I think Goodman's already said that. I mean, he's under a lot of pressure as well up at Aberdeen. I think they won last week, which was a godsend for him. I think because I think if they'd have lost another one and then lose to us, I think he would really be under pressure. So
yeah.
Anyway,
right.
the other one, I think our podcast is now famous on the follow. What is it you call it? Follow Kerry Deal.
Follow
Yeah. We're famous on that. So here's to all the guys that are going to pick us up and follow Meltdown next week. I hope you get tanked by Kilmarnock. And Lafferty, there's another thing. Lafferty coming back. I've seen a lot of not very nice things said about Lafferty coming back that he shouldn't be getting back. And anyway, I'll leave that to them, their podcast. I'm going to close down. Thanks for listening to everybody. Tomorrow you can get us on YouTube. You can get us on all the other surfaces where you get it from Apple and from Spotify, all the things. And I just wish you further a good night. And we are the people.